What if the place that looks the calmest is the one that changes you the most? At the far western edge of Europe, just before the land disappears into the vast Atlantic Ocean, there is an island, a place that feels both ancient and constantly alive. This is Ireland. From above, it looks almost unreal, a patchwork of endless green, stitched together by winding stone walls and narrow country roads. Fields stretch across rolling hills, interrupted only by quiet villages and scattered homes. The colour is not accidental, it is shaped by something constant. The rain, soft, persistent, ever-present, not violent, not overwhelming, but steady. It falls gently across the land, feeding it, shaping it, sustaining it. And over time, it transforms everything. The hills become softer, the light becomes diffused, the entire landscape feels filtered, almost like a memory. But Ireland is not just a place of beauty, it is a place of feeling. Because here, the land is not separate from life, it is part of it. The ocean surrounds the island, but it does more than define its borders. It influences everything. The air carries salt, the wind never truly stops, and the horizon always feels close. There is a sense here that you are connected to something larger, something older, something that has existed long before you arrived and will remain long after you leave. And yet, Ireland is not frozen in time, it is not untouched, it is not isolated, it is evolving. A modern country with deep roots, a place where ancient traditions exist alongside global innovation, where small villages still hold tight communities, while cities move with speed and ambition. But to understand life here, you don't start with the cities, you start with something simpler, something constant, something that shapes everything, the rhythm of life itself. Life in Ireland does not move quickly. It doesn't rush, it doesn't chase time, it follows it. There is a rhythm here that feels different, subtle, steady, almost unspoken, and at the centre of that rhythm is the weather. In many places, weather is background, something you check, something you prepare for. But here, it is part of daily life. It shapes decisions, it influences mood, it defines the day. You wake up in the morning, and the first thing you notice is the sky. Grey, soft, layered with clouds that seem to stretch endlessly. The air feels cool, damp, carrying the faint scent of earth and grass. And then, the rain begins, not heavy, not aggressive, but constant. A fine mist, a gentle drizzle, what the Irish call a soft day. And there is something interesting about that phrase. It is not negative, it is not complained about, it is accepted, even appreciated. Because this rain is what created the landscape. It feeds the fields, deepens the green, keeps the land alive. And over time, people begin to understand this. They don't resist it, they adapt to it. Umbrellas are optional, coats become routine, plans remain flexible. Because here, you don't wait for perfect weather, you live within it, and that creates something unique, a mindset, a way of thinking. People become patient, resilient, calm. There is no urgency, no pressure to control what cannot be controlled. Instead, there is acceptance, and with that acceptance comes a certain peace. Because when you stop trying to control everything, life becomes simpler, more grounded, more real. But the weather is not always quiet. There are days when the wind rises, strong, cold, moving across the island with force. You hear it before you feel it, a low sound building in the distance. Then suddenly, it is everywhere, pushing against doors, moving through trees, rattling windows, reminding you that this island is exposed, surrounded, connected directly to the Atlantic, and on those days, the ocean feels closer, more present, more powerful, because Ireland is not protected from the elements, it is shaped by them, and that relationship between people and nature is not distant, it is personal, it is lived every day, and over time, it defines how people see the world. Because here, life is not about controlling the environment, it is about understanding it, moving with it, respecting it, and finding your place within it. In many parts of the world, it is easy to disappear, to walk through a street and be just another face, to live your life unnoticed. But in Ireland, that is not how life works, because here, places are small and people are connected. The population of the island is just over 5 million, but numbers alone do not explain the feeling. Because it is not about how many people live here, it is about how closely they are linked. Villages are scattered across the countryside, small clusters of homes tucked between fields, lined along narrow roads, gathered around a church or a single main street. And in these places, life feels different. There is no anonymity, no distance, no separation. Because here, people know each other, not just by name, but by story. They know where you come from, who your parents are, who your grandparents were. They remember things, details, moments, histories. And that creates something rare. A sense of belonging that is not forced, but natural. Because in a place like this, you are not just an individual. You are part of something larger, something continuous, something that existed before you and will continue after you. The day in a village does not begin with urgency. It begins slowly, quietly. You step outside, and the world is already awake. Not loudly, but gently. The distant sound of a car passing, a dog barking somewhere nearby, the faint movement of wind through hedges. And then, you walk to the local shop, not just for what you need, but for what happens along the way. Because this walk is not just movement, it is interaction. You meet someone, they greet you, not quickly, not casually, but properly. They stop, they ask how you are, and they wait for the answer. A real answer, not a rushed one, not a surface one. A conversation begins. It might last a minute, it might last 10, it doesn't matter. Because here, time is not measured in efficiency, it is measured in presence. And when you reach the shop, the same thing happens. The person behind the counter knows you, not as a customer, but as a person. They ask about your family, they remember your last visit, they continue conversations as if no time has passed. Because in a place like this, life is continuous, not segmented, not disconnected. Everything flows, from one day to the next, from one interaction to another. And that creates something powerful, a rhythm, a sense of familiarity, a feeling that you belong. At the center of Irish life is the family, not just as a concept, but as a structure, a system, a constant presence.
Families stay close, not just emotionally, but physically. It is common to find generations living near each other, on the same road, in the same village, sometimes even in the same home. Grandparents, parents, children, all connected, all involved, all present.
And that closeness creates stability. Children grow up surrounded by people who know them, who support them, who guide them. Not just parents, but a wider circle, a network. And that network does not disappear with age. It continues, expands, strengthens. Because here, family is not temporary. It is permanent. It is the foundation on which everything else is built. In many places, when something goes wrong, you deal with it alone. But here, that is not how it works. Because in Ireland, community is active, responsive, present. When someone faces difficulty, the response is immediate, quiet, but strong. Neighbours show up. Support is offered, not as an obligation, but as instinct. There is an understanding that no one should face challenges alone. This can take many forms: a neighbour helping with work, a group organising support. Sometimes it is formal, sometimes it is not, but it always happens. Because here, people look out for each other, and that creates something rare: trust. The kind of trust that is built over time, through shared experiences, through consistency, through presence. There is one place where all of this comes together: the pub. From the outside, it may seem simple, just a building, a place to drink. But inside, it is something else entirely. It is the centre of social life, the place where stories are told, where news is shared, where connections are maintained. You walk in, and you are not entering a business. You are entering a space where life happens. People gather, not in a rush, not with an agenda, but with openness. Conversations begin easily, between friends, between neighbours, even between strangers. Because here, conversation is natural. And then, music begins, not as a performance, but as an expression. Someone starts playing, others join, and suddenly, the space changes. It becomes alive, full, connected. There are no barriers, no separation between performer and audience. Everyone is part of it, because the music belongs to everyone. And in those moments, you understand something important. That life here is not about isolation, it is about connection. There is something about life in Ireland that is difficult to define. It is not just the landscape, not just the people, not just the culture. It is something deeper, a feeling, a presence, a sense that life here is grounded, real, uncomplicated, not because it lacks complexity, but because it prioritizes what matters: connection, community, time. And once you experience that, it changes your perspective, because you begin to realize that what feels normal in other places is not always necessary. That speed is not always progress. That noise is not always meaning. And that sometimes the simplest way of living is the most complete. In many places, culture is preserved, stored, displayed, protected like something fragile. But in Ireland, culture is not something you visit. It is something you live, every day, in the way people speak, in the stories they tell, in the music they play, in the rhythm of their conversations. It is not separate from life. It is life.
And at the heart of that culture is memory, not written memory, but spoken memory. Because Ireland has always been a nation of storytellers. Long before modern media, long before books became common, stories were passed down from person to person, from one generation to the next, carried through voice, through expression, through emotion.
And those stories did more than entertain. They preserved identity, they held history, they explained the world, and even today, that tradition remains. Language is more than communication, it is connection. And in Ireland, that connection runs deep. The Irish language, known as Gaeilge, is one of the oldest living languages in Europe. It carries centuries of history, poetry, emotion, meaning. For many people today, English is the language of daily life, but Irish still exists, not as a relic, but as a living presence, in schools, in communities, in certain regions known as the Gaeltacht, where it is spoken every day. And when you hear it, something feels different. The rhythm is softer, more expressive, more connected to the landscape itself, because the language was shaped by the land, by the weather, by the sea. It has words that describe things other languages don't. Subtle changes in light, the feeling of wind, the mood of the ocean, and that creates something unique. A way of seeing the world that is tied directly to place. If you want to understand Ireland, you listen, because music here is not performance, it is participation. It lives in the pubs, in homes, in small gatherings, and it happens naturally. A fiddle begins, then a flute, then a bodhran, and suddenly the room changes. The music builds, layer by layer, not planned, not structured, but flowing. Each person adding something, each instrument responding. There is no stage, no spotlight, no separation, because the music is shared. It belongs to everyone in the room, and within it, there are stories, songs of love, songs of loss, songs of migration, songs of rebellion, each one carrying emotion, history, memory. And when people sing, they are not just performing, they are remembering. Ireland does not just tell stories, it values them, respects them, elevates them. Because storytelling here is an art, a skill, a tradition. A good storyteller can hold a room, not with volume, but with presence, with timing, with detail. They know when to pause, when to build tension, when to deliver meaning. And through that, they create something powerful, connection. Because stories bring people together. They create shared experience, shared understanding, shared emotion. And in a place like Ireland, that matters, because history here is complex, layered, sometimes painful, but always remembered. There is another place where identity becomes visible, where community becomes active, the local field, the pitch. Because in Ireland, sport is not just competition, it is belonging. The Gaelic Athletic Association, known as the GAA, is at the centre of this. It is more than an organisation, it is a community structure. Every parish has a team, every team represents a place, a history, a group of people. And when they play, it is not just a game, it is pride, it is identity, it is connection. Families gather, communities support. And for those moments, everything feels united. Because here, sport is not about fame. It is about representation, about carrying the name of your place, your people, your home. Tradition in Ireland is not static. It is not frozen in time. It evolves, moves, adapts, but it never disappears. Festivals bring people together, not just for celebration, but for continuity. Events that have existed for generations still happen, still matter, still connect people. And even global celebrations take on local meaning. Because here, identity is not lost in modern life. It is integrated into it. Ireland exists between two worlds, the past and the future, and the balance between them is constant. Because modern life brings change, technology, global influence, new ideas, new opportunities. And with that comes pressure to adapt, to evolve, to move forward. But at the same time, there is a need to preserve, to maintain identity, to protect what makes Ireland, Ireland. And that balance is not always easy, but it is intentional, careful, ongoing. Because here, progress is not about replacing the past. It is about building on it. There are many countries with history, many with culture, many with tradition. But what makes Ireland different is how those things are lived, not occasionally, not ceremonially, but daily, in small ways, in conversations, in habits, in routines. Because here, culture is not something separate from life. It is embedded within it, and that creates something powerful, a sense of identity that remains strong, even as the world changes. To understand life in Ireland, you have to understand the land, because nothing here exists separately from it. The fields, the farms, the villages, the people, everything is connected. From above, the landscape looks carefully designed, but it isn't. It is shaped, slowly, over generations. A patchwork of fields stretches across the island, divided by stone walls and narrow hedgerows. Each section, a result of years of work, of hands moving stone, clearing land, creating space. Not quickly, not easily, but patiently. And those boundaries tell a story of ownership, of history, of survival. Because for centuries, the land was everything. It provided food, shelter, livelihood, and without it, life here would not have been possible. Even today, farming remains at the heart of Irish life. Not everywhere, not for everyone, but deeply embedded. Across the countryside, you see it. Fields of grass stretching endlessly, bright green, thick, healthy, sustained by the constant rain. And within those fields, movement. Cattle grazing slowly, sheep scattered across hills. This is not industrial, not rushed. It is steady, rhythmic, daily. Because farming here is not just work, it is routine. It follows the seasons, the weather, the land itself. Morning begins early. Tasks are practical. Feeding animals, checking fences, walking fields. There is no separation between life and work. They are the same. And that creates something unique, a lifestyle that is grounded, physical, connected to reality. Because here, you don't just live on the land, you work with it. Across Ireland, there is a pattern, stone walls stretching endlessly, across fields, up hills, along roads. At first, they seem simple, functional, but they are more than that. Each stone was placed by hand. No machines, no shortcuts, just effort, time, persistence, and together they form something lasting, a physical record of generations, of people who shaped the land with nothing but tools and determination. They are not just boundaries, they are history, visible, present, everywhere. Ireland is known for its dairy, and for good reason. The grass here is different, rich, nourished by rain, perfect for grazing. and that creates something valuable. Milk of high quality, used to produce butter, cheese, products that travel far beyond the island. But behind that industry is daily life. Cows moving slowly across fields, farmers working consistently, day after day. Because dairy farming does not pause. It requires attention, consistency, commitment, and that commitment defines the people who live this life. While the land provides stability, the sea brings something else: energy, uncertainty, movement. Ireland is surrounded by water, and along the coast, life changes. Villages face the ocean directly. Harbours become centres of activity. Fishing becomes part of survival. Boats leave early, returning later with the day's catch. And just like farming, this is not easy. The ocean is unpredictable. Conditions change quickly, and every trip requires awareness, skill, respect. Because here, nature is not controlled, it is worked with. Irish food is not complicated. It is not built on excess. It is built on availability, on what the land and sea provide, and that creates something honest. Meals are simple, but satisfying. Ingredients are fresh, local, unprocessed. A traditional Irish stew is more than food. It is comfort, slow-cooked, warm, filling, built from what is available. Potatoes, meat, vegetables, nothing wasted, everything used. And that simplicity is intentional, because for much of history, resources were limited. Food was not about variety, it was about survival. And that influence remains. Cooking in Ireland is not just preparation, it is tradition. Recipes passed down, methods remembered, skills learned over time, the smell of fresh bread, the warmth of a kitchen, the sound of conversation during meals. This is where connection happens, not just through words, but through presence. Because here, food is shared. Meals are not rushed, they are experienced, together. There is one thing that defines Irish social life more than anything else. Tea. It is everywhere, constant, reliable, offered in every situation. A greeting, a comfort, a pause. When someone visits, tea is made. When something happens, tea is made. When there is nothing to do, tea is still made. Because it is not just a drink. It is a gesture, an invitation, a moment to stop, to sit, to talk, to connect. And in that simplicity, there is meaning. While much of Ireland remains rooted in tradition, another reality exists. In the cities, places like Dublin, Cork, Galway. Here, life moves differently, faster, more structured, more connected to the global world. Modern buildings rise, technology companies operate, industries grow. This is a different Ireland, one that is forward-looking, innovative, expanding. And yet, it does not replace the rural life. It exists alongside it. Because Ireland is not one thing, it is two, traditional and modern, and the balance between them is what defines it. You can travel for hours and experience completely different realities, from quiet fields to busy streets, from isolated farms to global business centres, from ancient traditions to modern innovation. And yet, it all belongs to the same place, the same identity, because Ireland does not separate these worlds, it connects them. Ireland may feel calm, peaceful, grounded, but beneath that quiet surface, there are pressures, real ones, growing ones. Because life here, like everywhere else, is changing. The world is moving faster, more connected, more demanding, and Ireland is part of that movement. In the cities, life is not as simple as it once was. Dublin in particular has become one of the most expensive places to live in Europe. Housing is limited, demand is high, prices continue to rise. And for many, especially young people, this creates a difficult situation. The idea of owning a home, once a natural step in life, now feels distant, uncertain. And this pressure changes decisions, where people live, where they work, how they plan their future. Because while opportunity has increased, so has competition, so has cost, and the balance is not always easy to maintain. At the same time, something quieter is happening. In the countryside, small villages that once felt full are becoming quieter. Younger generations leave, not because they want to, but because they have to. For education, for work, for opportunity, they move to cities, or sometimes leave the country entirely. And while many return, not all do. And over time, this creates a shift, an aging population, fewer people, less activity, and for some communities, a sense of uncertainty. Because when a place loses people, it risks losing something else. Energy, continuity, future. In small villages, change is visible. The closure of a local shop, the disappearance of a service, the quiet absence of familiar faces. These things may seem small, but they matter. Because in places where community is everything, even small changes have impact, and people notice, they feel it. Because here, life is not anonymous. Every change is personal. Ireland's beauty does not go unnoticed. People from all over the world are drawn to it. The cliffs, the landscapes, the culture, the feeling of something authentic, and tourism brings opportunity, economic growth, jobs, visibility. But it also brings pressure, more people, more demand, more strain on places that were not built for it, and that creates a challenge. How do you share a place without changing it? How do you welcome people without losing what makes the place special? This balance is constant, carefully managed, because once something is lost, it cannot be recreated. Ireland stands between two directions, the past and the future, and both matter. The past holds identity, tradition, meaning. The future holds opportunity, growth, possibility, but the two do not always align easily. Progress requires change, but too much change can erase identity. And so, Ireland moves carefully, adapting but not abandoning, evolving but not forgetting. Because here, the goal is not speed, it is balance. With all these challenges, the question becomes clear. Why stay? Why choose this life when other options exist? And the answer is not simple, but it is powerful. In Ireland, you are not alone, not truly. You are part of something, a community, a network, a shared experience. People know you, support you, recognize you. And that connection is difficult to replace, because in many places, life becomes individual, disconnected, but here, it remains collective. There is something about home that goes beyond location. It is a feeling, a familiarity, a sense that you are where you should be. And in Ireland, that feeling runs deep, because the land, the people, the culture, all connect. And once you feel that, it stays with you. Life here is not rushed, not forced, not constantly accelerating. It moves at a pace that allows space to think, to connect, to live. And in a world that often feels overwhelming, that becomes valuable. There is something about Ireland that is hard to explain, a presence, a quiet power, in the wind, in the rain, in the landscape, and people feel it. They connect to it, because it is not just scenery, it is identity. Ireland is not perfect, it is not easy, it is not without challenges, but it is real, it is grounded, it is connected. It is a place where life is not defined by speed, or noise, or excess, but by something simpler, something deeper: people, community, time, meaning. It is a place where the past is not forgotten and the future is not feared, where tradition and progress exist together, carefully, deliberately, and in that balance there is something rare, a way of living that feels complete. Because in a world that is constantly changing, constantly moving, constantly demanding more, Ireland offers something different. A reminder that life does not need to be complicated to be meaningful, that sometimes the most powerful experiences are the simplest ones: a conversation, a shared meal, a quiet moment in the rain, and that in the end, what matters most is not where you go, but where you feel at home.